The galaxy was no stranger to conflict, but this was different. For decades, the Void Reapers had swept through star systems like an unstoppable plague, leaving destruction and silence in their wake. Entire civilizations had fallen, their fleets shattered, their worlds consumed or abandoned. The once vibrant tapestry of the stars was unraveling fast, and hope was growing thin. On the bridge of the Astria, flagship of the Coalition Defense Fleet, Admiral Calleron watched the tactical displays with a grim expression. The battle for the Delta Sector was raging fiercely, but every report was worse than the last. The Reapers have taken the Epsilon outpost, Commander Lyra reported, her voice tight with worry. Our reinforcements are stretched thin. The survivors estimate the enemy will reach Beta Prime in less than 70 hours. Admiral Calleron clenched his jaw. We cannot lose Beta Prime. It's the last stronghold before the inner systems. Behind the fleet, deep in the heart of human space, news traveled differently. Earth remained safe for now, but the fear was universal. Across communications channels, discussions buzzed, not just with strategy, but with rumors. There was talk of a single human ship, unlike any other in the known fleets, making its way toward the front line. A vessel called the Vanguard, commanded by a veteran whose name was whispered in awe and disbelief. Humans, muttered Ambassador Thalrek from the Zenthari Empire, eyes narrowing at the holographic newsfeed. I thought they were mere legends myths, told to comfort scared children. Legends are not, said General Corrin of the Drawley Alliance. If this ship arrives, it could tip the scales. But I doubt one vessel can change the course of a war this fast. In starports and command centers alike, hope mingled with skepticism. The galaxy's great powers prepared for one of their darkest hours. Unsure if a single ship, even a human one, could make a difference. Meanwhile, aboard the Vanguard, Captain Marcus Voss stood silently at the helm. Years of battle had carved lines into his face, but his eyes burned with a calm determination. His crew, hand-picked from Earth's elite, moved efficiently through the corridors. This was not a mission for glory, but a duty born from necessity. The ship itself was not a massive war cruiser. It was compact, sleek, and armed with technology that seemed simple compared to the alien armadas. Yet, beneath its unassuming exterior, lay systems crafted from a combination of Earth innovation and recovered ancient designs. Technology that defied easy explanation. Captain, we're approaching the conflict zone, Lieutenant Myra Kessler reported, her voice steady despite the tension in the air. Sensors detect heavy enemy activity. The Coalition fleets are engaged and struggling. Marcus nodded. Good. Then it's time we show them what humanity can do. The moment the Vanguard slipped into the battle's outer edge, other commanders took notice. Their initial reactions were dismissive. Why focus on one small human ship when fleets numbering in the hundreds faced the Void Reapers? But then the Vanguard moved, swift and precise. It dodged plasma blasts with uncanny agility and struck with pinpoint accuracy. Its weapons targeted enemy power cores and communication relays, crippling entire squadrons before they could respond. Radio chatter exploded with confusion and disbelief. Is that one ship? One commander gasped. It's impossible. Where did they get such technology? Another demanded Marcus and his crew worked in perfect harmony, anticipating enemy moves and exploiting weaknesses no one else noticed. Their tactics were unconventional but brutally effective, each strike a calculated step toward turning the tide. For the first time in months, across battle-worn ships and weary crews, something new took hold. Hope, the galaxy was still on the brink. The war was far from over. But the arrival of the human ship, the Vanguard, was a seen promise that even in the darkest hour, the unexpected could change everything. And the story of that change was only just beginning. The battlefield was chaos. Stars blazed with the fury of countless weapons, plasma bolts streaking across the void, and distant explosions painting the darkness with fire. The coalition fleets were on the defensive, struggling to contain the relentless advance of the Void Reapers. Ships shattered and drifted like ghosts, their crews lost to the cold silence of space. Amid the turmoil, sensors aboard the Astria picked up a new contact. "Captain, we have an unidentified vessel approaching the front lines," Lieutenant Jara announced, fingers flying across her console, classifying human signature. A murmur spread through the command bridge. "Humans?" Admiral Caloran's eyes narrowed. "Are you sure?" "Confirmed, sir. Hull design and energy signatures match Earth standards." The news rippled through the fleet. To most commanders, humans were a distant mystery rarely seen and often dismissed as insignificant. Stories about Earth were tinged with disbelief, and its people were thought to be primitive compared to advanced galactic civilizations. "Let them come," Calaran said grimly. "If the humans want to throw themselves into the slaughter, so be it." On the bridge of the human ship the Vanguard, Captain Marcus Voss surveyed the swirling battle ahead. The front lines were a tangled web of movement, friend and foe locked in desperate struggle. Every second counted. "Prepare for engagement," Marcus ordered. "We're not here to watch." Lieutenant Myra Kessler monitored the tactical feeds. Enemy formations are well coordinated but stretched thin. Their supply lines are vulnerable. Marcus's lips pressed into a thin line. "Damn." "Then we'll strike where it hurts." With a sudden burst of speed, the Vanguard slipped past the outer perimeter. Alien ships turned to intercept, their weapons trained on the lone intruder. But the human ship moved with grace and precision, evading every shot. Fleet commanders watching the scene from their command vessels exchanged skeptical glances. "Is that maneuver even possible?" One officer whispered. "Unorthodox, certainly," replied another. "But effective." The human ship's weapons activated pulses of concentrated energy lanced toward enemy vessels, targeting critical systems rather than mere hulls. The Vanguard caused cascading failures. Engines sputtered, weapons jammed, and communications went dark. Confusion rippled through the enemy ranks. "Focus fire on that ship," shouted a Void Reaper commander. "Destroy it before it spreads chaos." But every attempt to trap or overwhelm the human vessel failed. It danced through space like a predator, striking swiftly and vanishing before retaliation. Aboard the Astria, Admiral Calaran leaned forward, eyes sharp. "Who is this captain? What are their tactics?" "Unknown, sir," came the reply. "But their effectiveness is undeniable." Meanwhile, in a hidden corner of the galaxy, other alien leaders monitored the battle with growing unease. The arrival of the human ship was changing everything. "They say Earth's warriors are mere legends," muttered Ambassador Thalrek. "But this ship is no myth." "Perhaps we underestimated them," General Corrin admitted, voice heavy with doubt. Back on the Vanguard, Marcus remained calm despite the mounting pressure. "Our technology isn't the most advanced out there," he told his crew quietly. "But what we lack in size and firepower, we make up for in speed, precision, and adaptability. We fight smarter." His crew nodded, knowing that their survival and the fate of countless worlds rested on this moment. As the battle unfolded, word spread quickly. One human ship had joined the fight, and in mere moments, the galaxy would learn just how much difference one ship could make. The battlefield, once a swirling storm of chaos, began to shift beneath the human ship's relentless assault. The Vanguard moved like a ghost swift, silent, and deadly. Enemy ships had expected an easy target, alone human vessel outmatched by fleets of experienced warriors and towering war machines. What they didn't expect was precision. Captain Marcus Voss guided his ship through a narrow asteroid belt, using the rocky debris as cover. His eyes flicked across multiple screens, monitoring the enemy's movements and coordinating his strikes. "Target the command frigate," Marcus ordered. "Disrupt their communication lines and watch them fall apart." Lieutenant Mira Kessler's fingers danced across the console, locking weapons, firing in 3, 2, 1. A beam of concentrated energy shot from the Vanguard, striking the frigate's communication array. Sparks flew, systems failed, and chaos rippled through the enemy's ranks. Without clear commands, their fleet faltered. On the enemy's bridge, alarms blared. Officers scrambled to regain control, but their signals were lost in the void. Impossible. One shouted, "They've severed our links. We're blind." The Void Reapers tried to regroup, but confusion reigned. The human ship capitalized, slipping through gaps and striking weak points. Its attacks were surgical, designed to disable, rather than destroy, creating a ripple effect of failure throughout the enemy fleet. Other alien commanders watched in stunned silence. "How can one ship dismantle our forces so efficiently?" whispered a fleet admiral. "It's as if they know exactly where to strike," said another, disbelief thick in his voice. Meanwhile, the Vanguard's crew worked in unison, their training and trust in their captain evident in every move. Marcus's leadership was calm, but fierce, a steady beacon amid the storm. "Maintain evasive maneuvers," he said. "They'll try to surround us. We can't let them." The enemy deployed faster ships to flank the Vanguard, but the human ship anticipated the move. It darted between asteroids, weaving through enemy fire and striking from unexpected angles. In the distance, coalition fleets rallied at the sight of the human ship's success. Morale lifted as hope flickered once again. Commander Lyra, on the Astria, spoke into her calm. "Admiral, the Vanguard is breaking their lines. We're seeing enemy retreats already." Admiral Kalarin allowed himself a rare smile. "Good reinforcements, advance. Follow the humans' lead." But the Vanguard was not merely a spearhead, it was a symbol. Every precise attack sent a message. Humans were not to be underestimated. Back on the enemy flagship, the Void Reapers, leader seethed with frustration. "How do they know our weaknesses?" she demanded. "Who is this human that turns the tide?" Her officers had no answers. All they could do was watch their fleets crumble. As the Vanguard pressed forward, Marcus issued one final command for the assault. "Prepare the ion disruptor," he said. "This ends now." The ship's pulse cannon charged, humming with energy. When it fired, a wave of interference swept through enemy systems, disabling weapons and engines alike. Ships that had been advancing moments before now drifted powerless. The Void Reaper's fleet broke apart, retreating in disarray. Across the battlefield, the stunned silence was broken by a surge of cheers from Allied forces. The battle that had seemed endless was turning, and all because of one human ship. Marcus allowed himself a brief nod. The fight was far from over, but this moment was theirs, in a galaxy used to sprawling wars and endless bloodshed. The Vanguard had changed the rules, showing that sometimes the greatest force came not from numbers, but from the skill, courage, and heart of those who refused to surrender. The aftermath of the unexpected assault left the coalition fleets buzzing with renewed hope and curiosity. Who was this human captain? What secrets did the Vanguard hold that allowed it to turn the tide so quickly? Questions echoed through command centers, while intelligence teams scrambled to learn more. Aboard the Astrea, Admiral Kalarin paced his bridge, eyes fixed on the tactical readouts. "Bring me a full report on the Vanguard," he ordered. "Want to know everything?" Lieutenant Jara nodded, fingers already pulling data from shared networks. "Sir, the ship's design is unlike anything we've seen. It's smaller than most warships, but built with materials we can't fully identify. More importantly, Jara continued, their weapons technology is based on principles that differ from known energy systems. Some form of hybrid plasmion. Projectiles, but with unprecedented precision. Admiral Kalaran frowned. Who's commanding this vessel? Us. That's the most interesting part, Jara replied. Captain Marcus Voss. He's a veteran from Earth's elite defense forces. Records say he survived conflicts none of us could imagine. The Admiral absorbed the news. The humans often dismissed as primitive had somehow forged a warrior, capable of taking on an entire alien armada alone. Across the coalition, discussions swirled. Diplomatic envoys sent messages of cautious respect to Earth, hoping for alliance, or at least cooperation. For once, humanity was in the spotlight not as a curiosity, but as a potential key to survival. Back on the Vanguard, Marcus stood quietly in the ship's command chamber. The recent victory had been swift, but he knew it was only the beginning. He turned to his second-in-command, Lieutenant Mira Kessler. We've made an impression, Marcus said. But that's all it is, a start. We need to keep moving. Myra nodded. They don't understand our technology. They don't understand our tactics. That's our advantage. Marcus's eyes hardened. And it must stay that way. Vanguard was more than just a ship. It was a testament to human resilience and ingenuity. Its core technology was derived from ancient Earth. Discovery's artifacts recovered from long-lost civilizations beneath the planet's surface. The fusion of this relic tech with modern engineering had created a vessel unlike any other. More than weapons or speed, what truly set the ship apart was the crew. Each member had trained relentlessly, learning to trust instinct and each other. Their battle experience was vast, their resolve unshakable. Enemy forces are regrouping, Myra reported. They're adapting, trying new formations. Marcus smiled grimly. Let them. It only means the fight will get harder and we'll need to be smarter. Meanwhile, within the alien command halls, whispers of fear grew louder. The humans possess something ancient, said Ambassador Thalrek, voice low and tense. It is not just technology, but knowledge. General Corin added, their captain is a master of strategy, battle-hardened, unpredictable. We must reconsider how we face them. The Void Reaper's leader, still nursing wounds from the defeat, seethed. We underestimated them. This human and his ship are no ordinary threat. We must destroy them before their legend grows. Back. In the Coalition's war rooms, alliances began shifting. Old rivalries softened in the face of the greater danger and the human ship's stunning effectiveness. For the first time, Earth's name was spoken with respect and, in some quarters, hope, on the Vanguard. Marcus prepared his crew for the next phase. We're not here to be heroes, he reminded them. We're here to protect every world that stands in the way of destruction. As the galaxy braced for the battles ahead, one thing was clear. The secrets of the Vanguard DIT's technology, its tactics, and its captain's will would change the course of history. The era of humanity's legend had truly begun. The Void Reapers, once confident and terrifying, now faced a new reality. Their meticulously ordered fleets were unraveling, piece by piece, under the relentless pressure of the human ship, the Vanguard. What had seemed like an unstoppable force now found itself confused and vulnerable, on board the enemy command vessel. The Reaper leaders slammed a fist against the control panel. Their tactics are unpredictable. They strike where we are weakest, then vanish before we can respond. Our fleet is fracturing. Her officers scrambled to adjust battle plans, but every attempt to regroup was met with failure. Communication lines remained unstable. Systems that had operated flawlessly for centuries now faltered under targeted disruption. Report, she barked. Where is that human ship now? A trembling officer replied, "They've broken through the southern flank, disabling 2 of our key dreadnoughts. Our forces are in disarray." Elsewhere in the battle, the vanguard continued its dance of destruction. Captain Marcus Voss directed every move with precision, anticipating enemy maneuvers and exploiting them with ruthless efficiency. "We've cut their lines of retreat," Marcus said quietly. "Pressure every target until their formation collapses." Lieutenant Myra Kessler adjusted weapon settings, readying for another strike. "Their ships are retreating in smaller groups, but they're disorganized. We can finish this." As the vanguard pressed the assault, other coalition ships rallied behind it. The human vessel's success ignited a spark of hope and courage. Fleets that had once hesitated now surged forward. Inspired by the example set by the lone ship, Admiral Calloran's voice came over the comms, steady and commanding. "All units, follow the vanguard's lead. Target broken enemy formations and push them back." The battle quickly shifted from defense to offense. Back on the enemy command vessel, panic spread like wildfire. Officers shouted over one another, issuing conflicting orders. The once unified front dissolved into chaos. A young lieutenant whispered. In disbelief, "Their coordination is shattered. We can't hold the lines." The Reaper leader's face hardened. "We will not lose to one ship, no matter how skilled. Prepare the counterattack. We'll crush the humans and their allies." But the damage was done. The human ship had exploited more than weaknesses in the enemy's technology. It had exposed cracks in morale, shaken confidence, and turned fear into defeat. The coalition fleets took advantage, sweeping through enemy-held sectors and reclaiming lost ground. Planets once thought lost were now within reach, their defenders rallying at the renewed hope. On the bridge of the vanguard, Marcus allowed himself a rare moment of satisfaction. "This is why we fight," he said softly. "To protect those who cannot defend themselves, to stand when others fall." Myra smiled. "They never expected us to be more than a myth. Now, they know the truth." The Void Reaper's leader, facing a collapsing fleet and rising opposition, realized that the war had changed. The humans and their mysterious captain were no longer a footnote in galactic history. They were the turning point. "We must adapt," she admitted, voice cold but resolute, "or be destroyed." As the enemy scrambled to regroup, the coalition prepared for the next phase of the campaign. The tide had turned, but the battle for the galaxy was far from over. The human ship that had seemed an unlikely savior had become the galaxy's greatest hope, and the enemy's most feared opponent. The galaxy held its breath. After weeks of relentless fighting, the battle lines were shifting in ways no one could have predicted. The Void Reapers, once seen as invincible, were now vulnerable. And at the center of this shift stood the human ship, the Vanguard, a beacon of hope and fear. Depending on who you asked, Captain Marcus Voss paced the bridge, his mind racing with the gravity of what lay ahead. The enemy was desperate now, lashing out with unrelenting fury in an attempt to reclaim lost ground. Lieutenant Myra Kessler studied the tactical displays. "They've concentrated their forces around the Calder Nebula. It's their last stronghold before the inner colonies." Marcus nodded. "If they hold there, the war drags on. If we break them here, it could end soon. Reinforcements from the coalition are arriving," Myra added. "But they'll need guidance." Marcus's eyes sharpened. "Then we lead." With steady hands, Marcus ordered the Vanguard to spearhead the assault on the Caldor Nebula. The dense gas clouds and debris fields made it a dangerous place for large fleets, but perfect for a nimble ship like theirs. "Prepare for electronic warfare," Marcus said. "Their sensors will be clouded. We'll use that to our advantage." The Vanguard slipped through the nebula like a shadow, undetected until the last moment. As they emerged, enemy ships scrambled to respond, but Marcus had already calculated their moves. Target their flagship, he ordered. Disable their command and control. Without it, they'll collapse. Laser pulses and ion blasts filled the void as the human ship launched a coordinated assault. The flagship's shields flickered under concentrated fire. Enemy fighters attempted to intercept, but the Vanguard outmaneuvered them with practiced ease. Suddenly, an explosion rocked the enemy flagship. Systems went offline. Without clear orders, the Reaper fleets faltered, their formations breaking apart. Admiral Calloran's voice crackled over the comms. "Captain Voss, the Coalition is advancing. Your strike opened the way." Marcus allowed a brief smile. "This fight is far from over, Admiral. But today, we push them back." The Coalition fleets surged forward, reclaiming lost territories and rescuing besieged worlds. The people of the galaxy, battered and worn, found renewed courage. Back on the enemy command ship, the Void Reaper leader clenched her fists. "We were careless to dismiss them. This human captain, he is more than a warrior. He is a force of nature." Her voice carried through the halls, rallying her commanders for one final, desperate push. But the tide had turned across battlefields and planets. The enemy's will was breaking. And the humans led by Marcus and the Vanguard were the spearhead of that change as the nebula cleared, revealing a sky no longer shadowed by fear. Marcus prepared his crew for the battles yet to come. "We fight not for glory," he said, "but for the future of every world, for hope." And with those words, the human ship sailed onward, tin to legend. The battered Coalition fleets regrouped in the aftermath of the decisive victory at the Kaldor Nebula. The enemy's grip was weakening, but far from broken. For every step forward, new dangers lurked. Remnants of the Void Reapers were scattered across the sectors, striking with desperate ferocity. Captain Marcus Voss stood on the bridge of the Vanguard, the hum of the ship a steady companion. Despite the recent success, his face was grave. War was unforgiving, and complacency was a luxury he could not afford. Lieutenant Myra Kessler approached, her voice steady. "We've received reports of enemy regrouping near the Xyrex's Rift. They're fortifying positions and preparing for a counterstrike." Marcus nodded slowly. "They know this is their last chance. They fail, their empire falls." "Reinforcements from the Coalition are assembling, but morale is still fragile," Mira added. "We'll need to inspire them." Marcus's eyes hardened. "Then we lead by example. We don't just fight. We show them why humanity is feared and respected." The Vanguard sped toward the Xyrex's Rift, a treacherous region known for unpredictable energy storms and gravitational anomalies. It was the perfect place for an ambush and a perfect place to test their resolve as the human ship entered the rift. Sensors flickered under the assault of natural interference. Enemy scouts attempted to hide in the shadows, but the crew was ready. "Evasive maneuvers," Marcus commanded. "Stay sharp." Suddenly, a volley of plasma fire erupted from hidden enemy batteries. The Vanguard twisted through space, narrowly avoiding the blasts. But the attacks were relentless, shields holding at 60%. Reported Engineer Solon, "Sustaining damage, but we're stable." Marcus's jaw clenched. "Return fire. Target the batteries. We can't afford to be pinned down here." The crew worked in seamless coordination, weapons locking on to the concealed enemy positions. One by one, plasma turrets exploded into sparks. But the enemy's resolve was fierce. Fighters swarmed from all directions, their numbers overwhelming. "Prepare point defense systems," Mira ordered. "We can't let them swarm us." The Vanguard erupted in a flurry of counterattacks, slicing through waves of enemy ships. Explosions painted the void, a dance of fire and metal. Amid the chaos, Marcus's voice rang out, steady and commanding. "Hold the line. Every second we delay them gives the Coalition time to advance." Gradually, The enemy's assault faltered. Their losses mounted, and retreat became inevitable. As the last fighters scattered, Marcus allowed a breath. Status report. Damage sustained but manageable, Solon replied. Shields are stable. Weapons ready. Mira smiled tiredly. We did it. But Marcus knew better than to celebrate prematurely. We've won this battle, he said. But the war is not over. The Void Reapers will gather for one final stand. Across the galaxy, news of the human ship's unwavering courage spread like wildfire. Worlds once resigned to despair now rallied under a common banner. The spirit of resistance was alive and it was fueled by humanity's fierce determination. In a quiet moment, Marcus looked out at the stars beyond the bridge viewport. They seemed to burn brighter now, each one a promise of hope. We fight not just for survival, he whispered, but for every soul who dreams of peace. As the vanguard prepared for the final campaign, the galaxy braced itself. The coming battles would decide the fate of countless civilizations, and humanity's legend was still being written. The galaxy trembled as the final battle approached. After months of relentless war, the coalition forces gathered for their ultimate assault on the Void Reaper's last stronghold, the fortress world of Karshal. It was a desolate planet, scarred by ancient wars, orbiting a dying star. Its surface bristled with defensive arrays and millions of enemy troops ready to fight to the last breath. At the forefront of the coalition armada was the Vanguard, the lone human ship that had become the symbol of hope and defiance. Captain Marcus Voss stood on the bridge, every muscle taut with anticipation. His crew moved like a well-oiled machine, their faces steeled for the fight to come. This was the moment where legends were forged. Prepare for assault formation, Marcus ordered. All units, focus fire on enemy fortifications. We break their defenses and take Karshal. Lieutenant Myra Kessler's fingers flew over the controls. Shields at full capacity. Weapons systems primed. The enemy commander, the Void Reaper leader, watched from her command seat with cold fury. So, the human returns. We will end this here. Their myth ends today. As the armada surged into orbit, a storm of fire and energy erupted. Plasma bolts and missile barrages lit the void. The Vanguard weaved through the chaos, targeting critical points with surgical precision. Enemy turrets exploded. Enemy fighters fell one by one, but the Reapers fought fiercely. Their desperation made them deadly. On the surface, coalition troops began their landing operations, fighting through waves of enemy defenders. The battle raged across scorched plains, ruined cities, and underground tunnels. Inside the fortress, Marcus and his team prepared for the final strike. We're going in, he said. This fight is ours. Boarding shuttles launched from the Vanguard, cutting through enemy fire toward the planet's core command center. Marcus led his team, a tight unit of battle-hardened warriors ready to finish what they started. The corridors were dark, oppressive. The enemy fought with everything they had, ambushes, traps, and sheer brutality, but the humans pressed forward. At last, they reached the command chamber. The Void Reaper leader stood waiting, her expression unreadable. This ends now, Marcus said. Voice steady, a fierce battle erupted. Blades clashed, blaster fire echoed. The enemy was strong, but Marcus's experience and determination turned the tide. With a final, decisive strike, Marcus disarmed the Reaper leader. The room fell silent. We fought for survival, Marcus said, breathing hard. But also for hope, for peace. The leader, defeated but unbroken, nodded slowly. Perhaps there is more to your kind than legend. Back in orbit, the coalition forces cheered as enemy defenses collapsed. Karshal was theirs. The war was over as the dust settled. Marcus stood once more on the Vanguard's bridge, gazing out at the stars. The galaxy was bruised but alive. Hope was reborn. The human ship that had entered the war as a single, unlikely warrior had changed the fate of millions, and humanity's legend was only just beginning.